Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, and welcome to this webinar organized by Berkeley Consulting Limited. This is our second webinar in our planned series targeted at small and medium enterprises and people planning to go into businesses soon. My name is Louis Sebode. I am the communications manager at Berkeley Consulting Limited. I am the host today for this webinar. We are aware of the devastation that the ongoing coronavirus pandemic has caused. Jobs have been lost, businesses are struggling, and hundreds of thousands of people have died. The World Health Organization has told us that COVID-19 may be with us for a lifetime because it could become endemic. So there is so much uncertainty about the future, and people have been consigned to see the end of so many endeavors. But at Berkeley Consulting, we believe everything is a matter of the right perspective. What many see as the end is the beginning of new ideas, innovations, thoughts, businesses, style, and new approaches to life. In our last webinar, we focused on what SMEs must do to survive, the challenges and the associated problems of the pandemic, of course, have indeed impacted people in many ways that people never foretold. And we discovered that beyond survival, lots of people do not see the need for reinventing the wheel. They do not see the chance of starting anything and thriving. So there is a few rules that would like this webinar to uh, okay to give to us. These are the ground rules that we would have for the webinar as we progress. All participants must be in listening mode for this webinar. Participants cannot talk during the session except they are enabled by the host. This privilege will be granted only when participants use the raise your hand feature. To ask a question, please type it into the chat box or click the raise your hand icon. We will answer questions at the end of the presentation, of course. You can test the chat box function now by introducing yourself to just test. We will have a 1 hour presentation for this webinar session and leave the remaining time to address your questions. So in this today's webinar, we will discuss the necessary things that businesses or people who want to go into businesses must understand, of course. So we will discuss the necessary skills, available opportunities, the right motivation, and the open secrets that you will need to start a business in this pandemic. Who are we as Berkeley Consulting? I think, okay, that is the slide. People will be wondering who Berkeley Consulting is, and why are they organizing this webinar. So Berkeley Consulting is a business management company. We are a back office company providing affordable and tailored professional support services for small businesses. We are also into outsourced labor for companies. We are in Solo in Lagos State, and our business mandate, our mission, is to encourage the rise and of effectively managed micro, small, and medium enterprises. Okay, so we organize these webinars to support and encourage small businesses in Nigeria and support them with our professional services to ensure their growth and sustainability. Okay, our services include accounting, where we support SMEs to keep their financial books for proper recording of financial activities, tax consultancy, human resource management, training, seminars, and webinars as the case applies this time around, and outsourced labor management. So if you need any of our services, you can contact us through any of through the mediums displayed on your screen. You can call our office phone number, send us an email, and converse with us on social media. That's on LinkedIn, on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Across these channels, all you just have to do is look for Berkeley Consulting Limited or Berkeley Consulting. So you can also visit our website at www.berkeleyconsulting.com for additional information about us and to understand our company. So for this webinar, we trust that okay, we've gone through the ground rules, but to quickly recap, all participants are to be in listening mode. To ask questions, please type in the chat box or click the raise your hand icon. We will answer all the questions at the end of the webinar, and you can test the chat box function now by introducing yourself. We will have a 1 hour webinar session. Afterwards, we'll open the floor for questioning. Okay, so that is the ground rules. Okay, so what will this seminar promise us? What do we intend to take away from this seminar? So if for this seminar, our trust is that participants will learn how to select a suitable business idea during the pandemic, and how to overcome challenges of new skills and technology, how to find a market for your products, and how to write a simple business plan. So these expectations have been streamlined to motivate you to start a business despite the global health challenges. So like I said previously, this webinar is going to last for an hour or thereabout, and we hope that at the end we would have many people who are inspired enough to start a business using the tips that will be shared by the speaker. So at this point, I would like to introduce the speaker to us. So the speaker today is none other but Mr. Joshua Ogwimi. So that's his profile showing on your screen, so you can read along while I just mention a few things about Mr. Ogwimi. So Mr. Ogwimi is the CEO of Berkeley Consulting Limited. Before initiating and starting Berkeley Consulting Limited, he was at Total Nigeria PLC for about 24 years, where he occupied several positions until he retired as General Manager in Human Resources. He also has experience in the health sector, where he works in a hospital. He has also worked at a construction company, a furniture making company, and a professional audit firm. He set up Berkeley Consulting with this wealth of experience because he wants to help small and medium enterprises or companies grow their businesses and overcome their operational challenges. So I would like to introduce Mr. Joshua Ogwimi to us right now. Okay, so Mr. Joshua Ogwimi, if you are live and you're hearing me clearly, so you can come online and you can start the webinar session properly. You have to enable your audio. Your audio is off.
Good morning, participants who are already signing. We'll be talking to you for about 1 hour, as the host has said, on the topic, how to start a business during the pandemic. How to start a business during the pandemic. The pandemic has come as a surprise to so many people. We did not bargain for it, but it has come. And so this is where we are. Before we go into our presentation, I'd like to just caution all of us that the coronavirus is real. I'm sure you should not mind those who think that it is not real or who don't believe in it. We are all encouraged to follow all the safety protocols that are announced by government. At the end of the day, the issue of your health is your own responsibility. You have a responsibility to stay healthy, not only for yourself, but also for your loved ones. Having said that, I will go straight to what we have to do today. The moderator has given us the learning outcome. The outline that will follow quickly as I bring them up, the outline, introduction, new challenges, new businesses, and of course, we'll have a conclusion. We may not be able to deal extensively with these issues on the outline, but we'll say enough to give you what it takes to start a business. Our focus today is to encourage you to go on and start a business that will thrive, a business that will succeed despite the situation that we find ourselves. It's not unusual to be afraid at this time to think of setting up a company. A lot of people have that fear, and we can't blame them too much because the situation is really uncertain. We can't really be so sure. And we have said that to see opportunities in difficult circumstances like the one we are in now is not rocket science. It is not terribly difficult. It's not an impossibility. It's not something that is meant for genius only. No, it is not something that is meant for the highly educated only. No, though it may not be as easy as one would imagine. That is, it's not like a walk in the park. It's not like just slowly. It requires some hard work. It requires some learning. It requires what we call entrepreneurial mindset. You know, that is why when you say that opportunities are valuable, everybody may not be seeing the opportunities because they are not prepared to see. It's like you look but you don't see. And you won't see if you do not have the entrepreneurial mindset, which we shall discuss shortly. And if you are not prepared to do some hard work and do some learning, you don't get a business idea to start like you go to the market to buy vegetable. No, it's not as easy as that, but it's doable. That is why we said it is not rocket science. Now, a lot of new businesses are coming up, you know, today, not only in Nigeria, but all over the world. Why? Because beyond health, which is of topmost priority for everybody, every human being, there are so many other challenges that have come up for individuals, challenges that need to be met, problems that need to be solved. And you know, it is when you identify challenges, identify problems, and you proffer solutions to these challenges at a profit that you are in business. So you don't start looking for a business without looking for the problem to solve. You don't start looking for a business without looking for challenges. I'm talking about looking for challenges. You can actually start with yourself. What challenges do you have as a person? What are you going through? So that is the first thing to do. Because if you are able to meet challenges of many enough people, then you are in business. So we must start the process of looking for challenges with ourselves, with our neighbors, with our friends, with our families. What difficulties are we going through today? Imagine that so many other families are going through similar difficulties. So if you can then find solutions to these difficulties in a profitable manner, then you are good to go to set up a new business. And then we have said that the business environment has changed because of the pandemic, and to rely on old strategies and knowledge will be unhelpful today to start a successful business. And this is the crux of the matter. This is why we decided to take on this topic at this time. Things have changed. So we can't be doing things the way we were before and begin to expect good results. No. The old style of business plan, looking for problem and all that, they have to change in order for us to move with the time. The time is changing. If we do not change, then we will be left behind. We talked about entrepreneurial mindset in our previous slide, and we said that for you to be able to identify opportunities in midst of difficulty, in midst of challenges, in midst of the current pandemic, you need to have an entrepreneurial mindset. That's what we said. Now, so what is mindset? You know, begin to imagine, who are those with entrepreneurial mindset? Is this something you can buy? Is this something you can learn? Is this something you can acquire? What is it? And so it's a way of thinking that influences how somebody interprets or responds to situations. You know, today, some people have a mindset that the coronavirus is fake, it's not real. After all, people have been having malaria, headache, cough, and all that. It's not real. Some people believe that. I've had somebody who said, no, it's not real. Why are you covering your mouth? It's a mindset. Some people have a mindset that the situation is so difficult, the economy is so hard, there is no way anybody can succeed. It's a mindset. You want to sell baby clothes. Say, no, this is not time to sell baby clothes. Look at the pandemic. It's a mindset. You know, when you have a mindset that is fixed, you know, a mindset that is rigid and that cannot change significantly, then you have a fixed mindset. You just think that the situation cannot change significantly. Then you cannot grow, you cannot learn. You have a fixed mindset. You know, I was talking with somebody, if I was actually listening to a CNN program, and then the host was talking about the real estate business. And so I know that real estate business is no go area now. Nobody has money to buy houses. In the future, after COVID, there will be lull in the market. People will not be hiring offices. People will be working from home and all that and all that. That may be true. But do you know that even when you work from home, post-COVID, for instance, and people need to now set up offices at home and all that, won't that begin to influence the kind of houses that people want to go for? You want to go for a house instead of going for a two-bedroom, you want to go for a three-bedroom because you are preparing to have one office as a study room if you didn't have before. So you see that it may just change the focus of the real estate business from very big spaces to other offices that be like house offices in several places. So we need to have the mindset that everything is possible once we have a proper mindset, and we also believe that God is on our side. We believe in God that with prayer, supported by your actions and your hard work, things will work out well. Now, what kind of mindset do we want for an entrepreneur? It's a growth mindset. A growth mindset. And what's a growth mindset? The belief that situations can change with time and people can be developed through training and practice. So do you have a staff who you think is not good, that cannot be good? This person is not good at all, or he doesn't understand computer, or he cannot do this, or it's too difficult for this and that. Do you have that mindset? If you have that mindset, you are operating at the level of the fixed mindset. And that is not the entrepreneurial mindset that can prepare you into setting up a business that will thrive and succeed this period of pandemic and even after the pandemic period. Now, we talked about entrepreneurial mindset. Although entrepreneurship can be learned, encouraged, and nurtured, there will be some that cannot or will not because of the risk and uncertainties involved. Some people believe that entrepreneurship is born. I don't think so. You may have some skill, you may have some talent that can be developed into becoming a very good entrepreneur. That one is possible. But it also involves some risk. When you are going into business, you need to know that there are some risks that are involved. And if you don't have the appetite, if you don't have the strength to accommodate that kind of risk in a business, if you are afraid of failing, for instance, it means that you are not likely to be a good entrepreneur. So you must begin by learning to be at the growth mindset if you want to succeed. The first step to becoming a successful entrepreneur is to think like one. And how do they think? And that will be the next question. How do entrepreneurs think? The entrepreneurs have growth mindset. The entrepreneurs have passion for what they do. They have enthusiasm to deliver something new and better. If you are somebody who is satisfied with the status quo, who is satisfied with the situation you are now, who is not willing to learn new things or deliver something better, then you are not thinking like an entrepreneur. To think like an entrepreneur, you must have a growth mindset. Get used to uncertainties and realize that you need to make mistakes to learn what works and what does not work. The lesson that you get from failure is usually sharper, more focused than the one you get from success. But when you succeed in doing a lot of things, you may not even bother to take care of the little things that made you succeed. But when you fail 1-2 times and you succeed in it, it becomes part of you. We must be willing to make mistakes. We must be willing to learn. We must be willing to do something better. And we must have passion for what we are doing.
All right, Mr. Ogbimi, before you proceed to the next slide in the session, I would like to mention quickly, for the benefit of our participants, that we would entertain questions at any point of the session because we desire to make this quite interactive. We would also take questions that were asked during the registration and as the webinar session progresses. Also, if you wish to ask questions, you can use the raise your hand feature, the Zoom app, or simply type the question using the chat tool. I see a few hands have been raised to ask questions. If you do not mind at this moment, you can put some of the questions in the chat too. If we cannot answer all the questions due to time, we will take note of them and answer them in the webinar feedback. Okay, all right, so Mr. Ogbimi, you can proceed, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. We're looking at examining yourself. Who are you? You need to know who you are. You know, it's not every business that is good for everybody. And to know the business that is good for you, to know the business that you can settle, to select a business that is suitable, you need to examine yourself. Who are you? What passion do you have? What do you enjoy doing? What talent? What gift? What is of interest to you? Do you know that if you're not interested in solving a problem, you cannot begin to see that as the basis of your business? What do you love doing? What knowledge do you have? What is your experience? What skills do you have? What have you done over the years and you have become skillful in it? In which area can you be regarded as an expert? Do you know that whatever it is, with hard work, with studying, more knowledge, you know, you can develop yourself in one or two areas where you can become an expert, where you can become very knowledgeable. So this self-examination is critical to the success of whatever business you want to do. Your personality sometimes has a role to play in the kind of business you go into. If you are somebody who cannot talk so much, you may not begin to go into the business of being a comedian. These are things you need to do. What is your talent? What are you good at? What do people say you are good at? And then you look at it, what is your experience? Even if you work in a company, what knowledge have you acquired? What experience have you gained? These are the stuff that you need to take, you know, and note them down. So that as we go further, you need to see that you need to align the solution to businesses, the solution to problems, to your passion, to your talent, to your knowledge, to all the things we have listed here that we say you need to do to examine yourself. I love this quote from Steve Jobs. The only way to do great work is to love what you do. If you have not found it yet, keep looking. Do you know that even at work, even where you work as a salary earner, if you love what you do, you are likely going to do it better. Unfortunately, we have several people who are in paid employment today who do not really love what they do, but they are there because they have to make both ends meet. They have bills to pay at home, and that is what is available, and so they do it. We can't blame them too much. But for you to set up a business that will succeed, that will thrive, you need to love what you want to do. And if you have not found it, keep looking until you can find something you love that will be a response to people's challenges, to people's problems, to people's questions. When you have found that, then you're on your way to setting up a thriving business, a thriving company. I call these ones take-home questions. Take-home questions. From what we just said in the last slide, I would like everybody participating to take note of these questions and answer them in writing at home. You don't need to answer now, but write them down. What do you enjoy doing? These questions are meant to help you find out your passion and what you are gifted at, what your interests are, so that you may be able to look for businesses that will be around these issues that you are writing down. What do you enjoy doing? What do you think you are gifted at doing? This is self-examination. What are your hobbies? What do you do that is probably not for money? You just do it because you like it. There are some things that you just do because you like it. Maybe you play golf because you like, you enjoy it. But if you enjoy it so much, can you go into a tournament that will have some prizes to be won, for instance? In which areas will you consider yourself an expert? Knowledge, skills that you have acquired. Write all these things down. Then what do people around say you are good at? When you review the answers to these questions, you are likely going to find out some things that are peculiar to you, some things that are key to you, some things that are inborn that you need to develop further in order to set up a business. No two people are the same. What is good for me may not be good for you. So this self-examination, these take-home questions, is for individuals to respond to in order to know who they are and know the kind of businesses that will be good for them. New challenges, new businesses. One of the focal points in this pandemic is the advent of new challenges, new problems, new priorities of individuals and organizations. You know, you have shifting priority after health, after remaining healthy. When it comes to the business aspect of it, when it comes to making a living, when it comes to making money for now and for the future, then a lot of things have changed. You know, we just said that to be in business, you need to look for problems to solve. You need to look for challenges to address. But this problem, these challenges are changing because of the pandemic. Because of these changes, they will need to re-examine the new problems that have come up, the new challenges that have come up, and the new priorities that have come up, so that we can begin to address our business model to respond to these challenges. Now, we have outlined a few of them here that we'll just look at quickly and expect that you will look at them more critically and be able to identify an area where you may fit in to set a business. The first one is working from home. What are the challenges associated with working from home? Can you set up a business that is aimed at facilitating working from home? If you are working from home yourself, what are your own challenges? What do you think can be done to make things better for you? For instance, so work from home requires a lot of issues. Do you need a small office desk to work from home? You work in a company that has desktop computers, but now you have to work from home. Won't you need laptops? You are working from home. Your internet connectivity is not strong at home, but now you need to work at. Before now, it's enough to just chat and maybe do Facebook, but now it's going to be a working instrument. Probably need to have a more serious internet and all that. You are working from home. Perhaps before, because you can go out freely, maybe you're away from work, you buy some things in the market, but now you're at home. So you need to order basic needs online. You need to. So you discover that the fact of working from home has thrown out very many challenges. Do you know that right now, the traffic of dispatch riders, logistic officers, moving goods from one place to the other has suddenly risen. Why? People are working from home. You know, because they are working from home, they need their basic needs while at home. And since they cannot go out freely, then they have to order these things. What does that suggest to you? It will mean that any business in the logistics area moving goods from one place to the other will thrive this period because people are working from home. Working from home has so many other challenges. It depends on individual. You also have children that have to be taken care of at home. They are not in school, and so they are there, distraction. How do you keep them busy? Are you likely going to need more toys that will keep children busy at home? Do you need some applications that probably keep children busy at home? These are things that we need to be looking at. The challenges that are now coming up because of the situation so that we can find solutions to them. Another area is online learning and education. This webinar, we used to have free seminar weekly in our offices and sometimes in rented venues. But we can't do that now because of the COVID. So what do? We said, okay, in order to change in accordance with the change situation, let us do online webinar and see able to reach the people we have been reaching out to without having a physical contact in our office or in a hotel. And that's what we are doing now. So it means that you can also have a business around the fact that you are doing online learning and online education. Parents who are very busy may need some application, some services that will make them to be happy at home with their children. They need something to keep them while they are working and their children are playing or whatever. There's no distraction. Business meetings have to be virtual now. So if business have to be virtual, there are some needs that need to be met because of it. No doubt, there are some needs that need to be met because they are, you know, for instance, you need to have maybe a laptop, a phone, and all that so that your meetings can be okay. Instead of calling a meeting in Abuja, maybe a 2 hours meeting, and go travel from all over the country, and indeed all over the world sometimes. You can simply set up your meeting using virtual meeting and conferencing to do that. Do you know that you can even learn new skills online? It can be musical instruments. Now, if you are an artist or you are a musician and you are talented, why don't you think of how to sell your business, sell your trade, your skill, your talent online? That is not, you probably did not think of this before now. But with COVID, reaching out to people is now online most of the time. So whatever skill you have, you need to learn how to bring it online to be able to sell it. You can teach somebody how to design a website. You can teach somebody how to play a guitar online, and then you are in business. This was not so before, but these are the new challenges that have come up. What of healthcare products and services? That one looks very obvious because that seems to be the major issue that people look at. We know that, yes, health is the most important priority today, but after the COVID or after health, we need to survive also. We need to be able to meet some needs around us. Now, what healthcare product can you provide online? Can you provide training on fitness and nutrition, for instance? People are at home and then they need to work out, they need to exercise, because sitting at home with boredom every day can actually be counterproductive in terms of remaining healthy. Now, but because of this situation, people can't go out to the gym to go and exercise. Can you bring gym to their doorstep? Can you bring gym to their houses through some maybe fitness equipment, sporting equipment for regular exercise? Can you think of a business in that line with proper advertisement, and you now see that you're able to deploy or serve many people with your services? What of immune boosting supplements, food supplements? We talk about the immune system now and then. And in fact, only yesterday, somebody was telling me that the person went to the market to buy lemon and said the price of lemon has suddenly gone up. I said, why won't it go up? With all what we hear about lemon and COVID-19. Now, what we are saying is this: because of the situations, the need to look at health area, health product, health services has become very urgent. We know of tailors in Aba who converted their tailoring business to producing masks and gloves, you know, for this pandemic period, changing what they have to produce what people now need more than before. They produce masks, gloves, sanitizers, and all that. What of medical treatment through virtual communication? I was looking at the paper yesterday, and there was an app, you know, an application for consulting a doctor. You notice that mostly for doctors, when you go to the hospital, sometimes your conversation with the doctor will just be 2-3 minutes, and there will be no physical contact. He will ask you some questions, you answer, and he prescribes some medicine, and that's it. Who says that can also not be done virtually? So that you limit hospital visit to serious issues that require physical examination. Now, these things are coming up. There are things that are doable, you know, that you can do. Why not? Can you even think of setting up a company, a cleaning service company, for instance, that will include sanitizers as part of the business? I'm not too sure that many companies here will not even need a company that will be handling sanitization of their offices, or even churches, for that matter. With what is coming, for what we read from the newspapers, you need to sanitize the whole office regularly, sanitize the church environment regularly. I won't be surprised. I'm sure there are already companies springing up to take up that challenge. So that you just give the contract to them, they come move into your premises to sanitize everywhere as frequently as you want it. That could be an area for what I want to go into, mostly for those who are in the cleaning business already. So just to add it all to their businesses. And these are coming because of the pandemic. Then we talk IT and internet security. You know, with so much traffic online, there is need to think of security, internet security. Are you secure with the platform that you are using? You send more emails now than before. How secure can your email be hacked? What are the security guidelines that you have put in place? Do you need an internet security expert to go through your system once in a while to be sure that you are okay? What other IT infrastructure that you will need? Now, I know that many people need a lot of data. And so the companies that sell data are in business. In fact, business is going on so well for them because of the huge demand, because of the increased demand. But who say you cannot even go into that kind of business? And the good thing about it is that if you cannot set up your own ISP, internet service provider company, you can work with those who are in it already. If you work with a company that is in business providing internet, because the demand for their product have gone up, you that be working with either a contractor to them or you supply whatever you supply to them, you also be in business. So what we are saying is, look at around all these issues and begin to tailor your business around the problems and challenges that you will find from the issue that we are talking about. And once you do that, then you are likely going to be in business. Then we talk about essential goods and services. Food is one of them. Food, you know, is critical. Agriculture. So why don't you think about the food chain business? You don't need to farm before you become a participant in the food business. Yes, farming is good. You can just be distributing. Do you know that this lockdown period was really a challenge? Since there was no movement, I'm sure a lot of foodstuffs were spoiled in the farms. But even going forward, people now want to also sell food items online. Online. You know, so you look at essential services, like food is essential service, telecom, data service, essential service, even the oil business, movement, petrol, diesel, they are essential service. So these are things that everybody needs. You know, at this period of pandemic, the business we're going to is a business that is needed by very many people. That is like everybody needs it. And so it's easy to find out a good number that can form your target market and do business. And the last thing we talk about delivery and logistics. We already have alluded to this, that delivery and logistics business is going to be the in thing going forward. The more people stay at home to work, to learn, and to do many things, the more they need people, the more they need logistics to deliver goods to their doorstep. And so if you're in a business in that area, why not? You are likely going to be in good business. What we have done here is not to recommend any business, but to show you that if you look at these points that we have raised critically, do more research about them, you are likely going to find a business that you can do profitably this COVID period and even post-COVID period.
Thank you so much, Mr. Okimi. Still on new challenges and new businesses, I would like to ask a question. For people in outdoor advertising or businesses in outdoor advertising, how would you think that they can thrive in this post-COVID pandemic?
Well, thank you very much. You know, advertising is something else, really. Post-COVID, I'm not so sure if it flies so well. I'm not so sure. Perhaps I think that a lot of advertising campaign now is online. There will be less movement and many transactions will remain online. So instead of outdoor advertising, why can't you look at how do you meet, how do you reach out to the same people you wanted to reach out to outdoor advertising? You may better think of other ways of reaching out to them online. Is it through email? Is it through other social media platform? Because if people are going to restrict their movement, it means that your outdoor billboard will be seen by less people as it is. Because my take is that even after COVID, movement will still not go back to post-COVID. People will still be doing many things from home, meetings will still be held online, and so it will reduce the visibility of your billboard and your outdoor advertising materials. But that's not an issue because you can have an alternative of reaching out to people through social media platforms. Now we have an exercise which we want to look at. What other new challenges and needs arising from COVID-19 pandemic that you can identify with? You know, we have listed some, we have discussed a few. What we have discussed really is a few of those things that can happen. But now it is left for you to go back and think and do some research and work out some new needs, some new challenges, some new problems that have arisen because of the pandemic, so that you can begin to address them through your solutions at a profit. You know, you need to provide solutions to problems at a profit for you to remain in business.
All right, Mr. Ogwimi, while our participants undergo the exercise, while they take notes of some things that they would like to internalize or reflect on, how can people who want to go into a business, for instance, people who have lost their jobs, people who have lost their means of livelihood, and they do not have so much money or don't even have money at all, how can they start a business with zero, starting off with nothing? All right.
Thank you very much. The first thing to do, in my opinion, is to examine yourself. You have lost your job, you don't have money, you don't have business. We go back to the slide we showed earlier. Examine yourself. What do you have? What knowledge do you have? What skill do you have? When you have examined yourself, then you can think out about businesses that you can actually do. You need to develop a very solid, sustainable, and profitable business idea. This does not start with money. It starts with knowing who you are, going through the self-evaluation or self-examination issues we address, and then find out a very solid business, and then write a realistic business plan with sufficient market research. The business plan you need to write today is not like the business plan of yesterday, because the market has changed. So you need to do more research and then be able to do proper market analysis. And then you can seek partnership and beneficial collaboration. You don't need to start with money. You have no money, but you want to start a business. You know that if you can develop a very solid business plan that shows that the business is profitable and that you can make money with the business, plus your personality that is in agreement with it, with your knowledge and all that you know, you may be able to find partners who might invest in the business as equity owners or as part owners of the business. You may be able to find people who will give you money because the business is profitable. So you have no money, you have lost your job, it's not the end of life. Go back to who you are, look at what you have with you, and see what you can do, you know, in the midst of the challenges to address other people's problems in order to get some money.
All right. So as well, for people who are in the business of owning language schools or whatever, of course, the academic calendar has been altered, and there have been a lot of challenges as a result of this COVID. Now, there are people who have specific schools, or especially language school owners. Now, some of them have had trouble having people who come to their school to do a lot of things. And now with this pandemic, there is even more challenges. Now, how can these people take off with their language school? Do they abandon it? Do they reorganize themselves? Do they re-examine a lot of things about the business? And what do you think they should do to take their business forward?
Thank you very much. If you have a language school, or indeed any school for that matter, to take your business forward, you need to develop some online platform that you can be using to reach out to your students. You notice a lot of schools, even public schools, not just private schools, are reaching out to their students online through Zoom, through WhatsApp, and all that. You need to, that is the first thing to think about. The current students that you have in the language school, can you reach out to them online? What you are doing with them physically, can you do it online with them? That's the first thing you need to do, because you must develop how to reach out to them. Then number two, you want to get more people. How were you getting more students before? What was your mode of advertising them or advertising to get more candidates? You need to now change that, you know, into using online platform so that you can get more people. Then beyond that, you need to do a business plan to approach fund providers and then contact your friends, the connections you have, the relationship you have built over the years, As a matter of fact, if you want to do business without money, you want to move from zero money to 1 billion naira to start with. First, you need a proper business plan that shows that you know what you are doing, that people can identify with, that will bring money. Then you need to look at the people you already know. The relationship you have built over the years could be friends, could be relations. Those who can trust you. Because those who know you may be able to trust you to give you money. And so you start with those family and friends. You start with those ones, do a business plan, and look for money. And then you'll be on.
Mr. Ogbimi, talking about looking for new customers or leveraging existing connections that people have, in terms that's in terms of marketing your new opportunities. Now we are talking about keeping old customers. For instance, people who are in the open market, whose customers are unable to visit them as often as they did previously before the pandemic. Now, in this circumstance, now how will they keep these old customers who knew them before but no longer have access to the market, or no longer come to the market as often as they would do? So how will they keep these customers?
This one is very simple. I reach out to them online and use courier services, logistics companies to deliver your goods to them at home. This one is the simplest of them all. What you need to do, how do you reach out to them to start with? You know, you reach out to them and you take their orders online, through telephone, through WhatsApp, but they can't come again. You can't go again. And especially if your business essential service, then you just get all these logistics companies, engage one of them regularly, and they'll be helping you to deliver your goods to your old customers. So this one is tiny, really. It's not an issue. It's just to know that you can't work where you were working. You must look for a way to reach out to them now, online or through social media platforms. Okay, going forward, we said knowledge, skills, and technology. What new knowledge, skills, and technology do you need to provide solutions to new problems based on who you are and your level and area of expertise? In fact, to me, this question is very key. This is the real issue that we all need to address today if you want to set up a business, if you want to thrive in your business. Even as a response to the last question, somebody wants to be able to service old customers who cannot come to the market to collect goods. The thing to do is, what new knowledge will the person need? If the person doesn't even have a WhatsApp phone, the person doesn't know how to use Zoom, the person doesn't know about social media platform, this is the time to learn. This is the time to acquire the knowledge. So this time of being at home, not having so much activity, is not a time to go to sleep. It's a huge opportunity to learn new skills that you need. And I would advise that everybody should really learn IT skills, digital marketing skills, and all that, because that's what we really need to provide solutions to new problems. So we need some skills, technology, but you know that you can acquire some of this technology. The one you cannot learn, you can hire somebody who has the skill to work with you. So there's really no serious issue in it. You need a technology to be able to continue your business, and you don't have it, you're not able to learn it quickly. You can get somebody even on part-time. The beauty of it is that most of the technology, most of the digital platform technology are things that can be delivered online too. So somebody can be servicing you and the person is based in Port Harcourt, or based in the UK, or based in India. So the thing to do is to understand that you need these new skills and technology and go out to get them, including acquiring them if you can.
All right. Like I said earlier, this is for the participants who are still open to questions. So far, I have not seen questions in the chat box. So we will entertain questions at any point in the session, like I guaranteed earlier, because we are trying as much as possible, although we are organizing this webinar in a virtual channel, we would want to make this quite interactive. We would take questions that were asked. We would take the questions once you ask them. I would at certain times interfere with the presentation of the speaker, and I would ask your questions and then expect him to answer this question. So we would also although at the end of the seminar we would open floor for this seminar for questions to enter. But I would encourage us to ask our questions as the seminar progresses. So if we cannot take all the questions, like I said too, I would take them and then take note of them and then answer them in the webinar feedback. So Mr. Ogbimi, you may proceed, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. Now we will now be talking about market analysis. You know, I said earlier that market analysis will now be a very serious part of any business plan more than before. You need to find out, can your product solve problems or meet needs that people are willing and able to pay for? You know, willingness, ability to pay. If you want to solve problems that people are not willing to pay for, you won't be in business. But if you are not able to pay for, you won't be in business. So in solving problems, the cost, what people need to pay for your solution should be affordable and they should be willing. That is the first to look at. The product you have developed, can it meet sufficient needs for you to be in business? And they will say to carry out a preliminary survey and study to respond to the following questions about your target market. Who are the beneficiaries and users of the product in the market? You need to know their demographic. What is their age bracket? Where will you find them? Which social media platform do they patronize? So you need to know these things. How do you want to reach out to the market? How is competition in the market? Because there's competition everywhere. You need to do something to be sure that even if you are not better, at least you are different. You have to differentiate yourself and if you position your business in the eyes of potential customers so that they can see some difference in you. I'm talking about positioning and differentiation. Do you know, even if physical products are the same, you can differentiate with your services, with your personal services, with the way you respond to customers. It can make a difference. What is the growth potential of the target market? Can the market grow? Very important, because a lot of people are looking for businesses that can be scaled, that can be expanded. So these questions are not so easy to answer, but your research will provide the answers to them. And then what is the product value proposition? Why should people even buy the product? What is in it for people who should buy this product? You need to see your product from the customer's point of view. If you were the customer, would you like to buy the product? By the time you consider all these questions, then you have a proper market analysis. Then we say test run your product in the market with family and friends. You can start with maybe start very small. If product you can develop in small quantity to start with, you know, try it out. I remember some years back, a friend who started a liquid soap business brought the product to us and some other friends to start using it for free. You know, testing the market, whether it was good enough. And with the feedback from people using the product, we were able to make some modifications and got the quality of the product improved. Another benefit of that, when you test run your product in the market, as you write your business plan, you are in a position to really show actual experience, to relate actual experience in your business plan. You don't just be estimate or proposition only. You'll be talking from a position of strength because of your experience in running the business on a small scale.
All right, Mr. Ogbimi, taking you on this market analysis, I think we have a question here, I'm still on that. It is good to, somebody said it is good to think of starting a business, but is it good to think of starting a school business? Like, is it achievable project given the circumstances now that a lot of schools or the schools are still shut and a lot of people are taking their lessons from home and all that thing. So is it good to begin a school project at this time? All right. Thank you.
Good question. My advice for people who are teachers either by profession or by vocation or by teaching, and you want to set up a school business, set up an online school business. Is the best you can do right now as we speak. An online school business that is well packaged will be a very good business. But of course, you need to do a lot of learning, a lot of new technology that you need to use to reach out to people, how you can make the cost affordable to people and all that. That is what you should be thinking about. The skills that you have as a teacher, you will still need the same skills. What is changing is method of delivery, how to reach out to your students, and all that and all that. So that is what you need to do. But if you think of setting up a school now with the restriction in movement, that may not be, this time may not be the best for it. And I have a feeling, talking about online school, that even after the post-COVID, it will still be a very profitable business. It will still be, because people will still want to be learning from home.
Okay, Mr. Ogbimi, if you can hear me. Okay.
Yes, right.
Now, taking you aback, so there's a question from Sabi. I don't know if the person is a he or she, but wants to know, can you shed more light on this issue of getting into collaboration and partnership in case you want to start a business, but you have very limited money to start up?
Okay, all right. Okay, we can share more light on what it means if you want to start a business, and it may not even be only about money. You may not have money, you may also not have all the skills. Like the person who asked a question about starting a school, and I just say you can start an online school. That person can look for an IT savvy person, somebody who's knowledgeable in technology and social media to partner with, to set up an online school. He may be the one that has the skill to teach, to deliver the lessons. But the partner, who's an IT person, may be the one that has the skill to do the setup of the platform that will be used to do the teaching. That's an example of collaboration with partners. And then another to do also is to look for people who have similar interests and then bring them up together and be partners in business. It's just that in this country, partnerships don't work so well. But partnership can still work if everybody is open, if there's transparency and objectivity from the beginning. You want to set up any kind of business and you're looking for partners who will join you. It's doable. It's something that you can do. You can talk to friends. You can talk to people that you know already. Like we said, it's always easier to partner with somebody that you already know because of trust issues that may be involved. So somebody you know, maybe a member of a club, a member of a church, a co-worker, an ex-co-worker, and all that. Look around and then, I have this business in mind I want to do. Can we partner together? By the time you talk to a few people, you probably have people who are willing to partner with you. And like I said, partnership may not be in terms of money alone. Yes, it's possible that somebody has the money, but doesn't have the technical part of the business. And then you are partnering with the person for his money. You can partner for knowledge, for technology, for skills and all that. And when you do that, then you are in business, all things being equal.
All right, Mr. Ogbimi, you have spoken a lot about taking your business online or doing a lot of things, exporting your business virtually so that people who you service before, who are in business with you, can actually still key in regardless of their restrictions on movement and other physical interactions. Now, for people who are in business and people think that a lot of online processes are automated these days. You can put something online and it just runs, whether you are taking note of it. Now, but in business, really, for the benefit of people who want to go into business. Now, what kind of business structure can they have that can efficiently and effectively run perfectly, even in their absence? Okay, that's the question, sir.
Okay, talking about structure, you need to think of a successful business first, and then you think about the structure that will follow it. And then it depends on the kind of business you are looking at. Usually, you should be able to start a business with registration, and then you want to look at it. You want to own the business alone. You want to give room for people to be part owner of the business. So you can register a business name, you can register a limited liability company. And if you have in mind that you want to be part of the business, which I recommend eventually, that you make room for people to become shareholders eventually. You may be the majority shareholder. You can own 75% of the company, but you make room for people who may be interested to be part owner of the business. Then you must put a structure, a management structure in place. You don't just do things without documentation. You want to recruit somebody, there's a job description for the person. There's need for the person. There is organogram for the company. People know who they are reporting to. You keep records. You have a separate bank account for the business. And then you are not all and all in the business. You are able to delegate, to people who work with you. You are able to let people do some part of the business so that not when you are not around, the business dies. No, you are away for 1 month and the business is running. This is all come without some deliberate strategy and deliberate effort to have a structure in place. Structure representing an organogram, who reports to who, what kind of records do you need to keep, what kind of approvals do you need, what kind of authorization do you need. All this is to be documented. And once they are documented, then you are almost sure to go. But talking in terms of business survive where you are not there. If you are the one that is doing everything, then the business cannot survive when you are not there. So it must be such a way that you have staff or colleagues or partners who do some part of the business even in your absence. In that way, you go to have a structure. But beyond all that, if you also see us in our office, we'll guide you, or guide you with us by email. We'll guide you on the kind of structure that you really need to put in place to succeed.
Okay, Mr. Ogbimi, I recall a few minutes ago you mentioned the rising cost of lemon because of the myth surrounding it. People assuming that lemon and hot water or even dry gin or any kind of alcohol-based stuff actually treats COVID-19 and other things. So there was so much demand for lemon as a result of this. Now, people are thinking, I'm also thinking that how do we manage the rising cost of materials in the market? If we compare it vis-a-vis the current, in terms of selling price and the capacity of people to actually purchase these items.
Okay, really, rising cost is not unusual, especially so now. Even the cost of food items, beyond lemon, the cost of food items have gone up in the market. But we need to live with it. We need to live with it. There are two areas I want to look at. As a consumer of the increasing price of goods, are there goods that you can do without? Can you cut down on the consumption? Can you reduce the consumption? Are there essential services? Even if it is food. I remember I mentioned that in our last webinar, somebody said they started eating twice in their home instead of 3 times. If eating twice in the home will help you reduce the cost of buying this expensive food material, why not? That's an option. But beyond that, for business, really, your selling price is not only a function of your cost, but also, and more importantly, a function of the market. You combine the two. If your raw material has gone up, the price has gone up, of course, you find a way to accommodate it in what you pass on to the consumer, provided, of course, the market can take it. Sometimes there are some goods that you sell at very minimal margin. At other times, it could be at a high margin. It depends on what the market can take. But at the cost of materials have gone up, to not be a reason to go out of business. The first to think of, in my view, how do I pass this cost to the consumers? How do I pass this cost to the customers? This cost of raw material that have gone up, can I pass it on to customers? If the answer is yes, then I don't have any challenge at all. It's just to think outside the box and look at what to do in the circumstance.
Okay, I have one question. I think this will be one of the last questions for some time until you conclude your session. You mentioned that the logistics, people who are into dispatch, that dispatch riders have suddenly raised it. There almost at every turn you see a dispatch rider delivering item, picking up item, or something like that. So this is a business that is highly populated now, and you have a lot of people in this business area. So in this circumstance, how do you do business successfully in such a highly competitive business environment or your business sector? How do you do business successfully?
Okay, thank you very much. We said earlier that competition is part of the game, really. If you don't hold a monopoly of a product, and then you have a lot of competition coming in, what do you do? First is to be sure of your own services, that you deliver top-notch services. Let the quality of your product be very high. Let it be appealing to customers. Your packaging, your dressing of the product must be appealing to the customers if you want to make it competitive. Another thing to do is the cost of your services. Is there a way you can operate and reduce the cost of your product so that you can pass on this reduced cost, to your customers? Something that your competitor may not be able to know. Maybe they don't know the secret of how your cost is down, but your quality is high, and then you have an edge in the market. But beyond all that, I also said earlier that even if you are into the same kind of product, into the same kind of service, like logistic providers, courier services, dispatch riders who deliver goods to various homes at this time, you can position yourself, you can differentiate yourself from competition by the way you render your services. It can be the kind of courtesy you show to the customers. It can be your dress. It can be the way you smile. It can be other things that you do that will make the difference. It can be developing a relationship with your customers despite the competition. Maybe some messages at festival period, some things that will just endear you to the customers. You can begin to do it. Some people have got there because somebody sent an end of month message to a customer. The customer responded by placing orders. So you were thinking about me. Things like that. In a highly competitive business, you need to build relationship with your customers, relationship outside the product, so that when they think of the product, they think of you as the person who provided it. That is my take on it.
All right, sir. Okay, okay, you are free to proceed.
Okay, because our time is really good. Okay, all right. Yes, now we have a simple and realistic business plan. You know, this is just a guide on what you need to do when you are writing a business plan. It's a guide. Business plan is very important. Several companies that want to assist you one way or the other, they need to know that your business is profitable. Even the recent COVID-19 palliative by federal government, some funds are available to be given to household and small business owners, you know, at considering interest rates. They need business plan. They need some documentation. Even for household to benefit from what government is doing, you need to show how you are impacted by the COVID-19. And if you are not documenting anything, you can't do it. So you need to do a simple but realistic. It's not a business plan that is based on just estimate. You test some of the estimates. For instance, you want to build the cost of rent into your business plan. Don't assume, oh, rent in social places is 1 million. But don't assume it. Go to that place, get an estate agent, get actual estimate of the cost of rent, and then you put it. So when you quote that kind of figure, you know it's a realistic figure. And then what is your motive for the business? We know you are in business to survive. You want to survive, you want to make money. That is probably taken for granted if it is not a charity. But beyond that, what is your non-monetary motive? What has endeared you to that business? You know, you need that kind of motivation that is not even money, that shows your passion for the business, that shows your interest in the business. You also need it. And then your product design that meets the need and solve the problem in ways that are acceptable to potential customers. If you are selling food and you cannot deliver it to the customer at home, and the customer cannot leave his house to your shop or whatever, then you are not in business or a restaurant. So your product design must be such that not only solve the problem, but will also be acceptable to customers. So you're going to look at your product. Then market analysis, like we have discussed earlier, including product delivery platform. How are you going to deliver the product? What is the logistics that you require? Are you going to be able to deliver physically? Is it going to be online? How? Then your hands-on experience. What have you done about the business? Have you tried something before? Talking about hands-on experience, it doesn't have to be a previous business. It could be a volunteer job. It could be a free job that you did. You could just have helped somebody. That becomes hands-on experience. You notice that our brother from the East, because of the apprentice system, they want to do any business, they stay with somebody for years. When they come and they know all the tricks about that business. So you can also do that kind of something. You have in mind, you want to set up a bakery in future. Why don't you work in a bakery now? Maybe on weekends only, and have the hands-on experience. Why don't you volunteer? So that your hands-on experience will come to bear on the business plan that you are writing to show and convince potential fund providers that this business will succeed. And finally, on business plan, not the least, scalability. How can you scale the business? Can the business grow? What technology do you need to expand the business? For instance, if you want to take money from the banks, from fund providers, they are interested in how the business can expand, how the business can grow. If the business cannot grow, they may not be interested because the business needs to grow from stage to stage. So that must be considered in your business plan also. scalability. How can you scale the business? After all, even the banks that were accused of not giving money to small business owners, do you know that if the banks don't give loan and they don't get interest, they won't be in business? Perhaps because they have other sources of getting money, that could be. But do you know that if you present proper proposal to them and the bank is sure of getting their money back and that you make profit in the business, you may find help, even financially. But just to sit there and be sure that your business is something that is viable, is sustainable, and is scalable. And then that will attract people who may help you with funds. Even friends and family people that help you needs to be sure that the business is a solid business that will make it. Finally, on business plan, where will the money to start the business come from? You have noticed that money is coming last year. It's not the first thing. Before you think of money, you have done all other work about the business plan. And then you have now arrived at how much money you need. It is there you can then think of how to raise the money. But if your business plan is very solid and such that will be profitable and sustainable, it makes it easier to be able to look for money. Is it from family and friends? Is it by grant from organizations? Is it loan? And all that. Is it government intervention programs? All that can then come to play as we try to look for money. Yes, we are at the end of the presentation. We just summarize what we have been saying so far. That the spread of the coronavirus challenges entrepreneurs to meet new needs. These challenges will remain with us even post-COVID for some time. I'm not so sure things will go back to pre-COVID-19 in the next 6 months. We'll be looking at maybe second half of next year. And so the challenge will remain with us. We need to accept that. Then what is required is understanding the market, developing the right product that will address the needs of the target market, and possessing the skills and technological knowledge needed to manage the business. And then investment in appropriate technology to take businesses online and digital marketing knowledge are recommended for the entrepreneurs of today and tomorrow. You can't run away from this. Everybody just have to come on board. Digital technology. That seems to be the way to go now and even tomorrow. I want to thank the participants for their patience. I'm going to entertain some more questions, if any.
Yes, I see a few hands have been raised, so I would enable them to talk. I would enable Mr. Adekunle Onofowokon, all right, to ask his question. Adekunle Onofowokon, are you with us? You can hear me. You can go ahead and ask your question. Otherwise, we would go forward. Okay. All right. I would enable Hirobo Festus to ask a question. So, Mr. Hirobo, you can unmute your mic and ask your question.
I find this lesson very, very interesting and key to the new developments based on this experience of COVID-19. You will agree with me that for those of us who are in the printing industry, it has been very, very devastating on us, considering the fact that most of the people or clients that will have been patronizing us, they are still experiencing lockdown. My question is this: in view of all this, what other areas can we veer into, based on the fact that this is what we have learned how to do from the onset, and this is what we've been doing all along, but now this new challenges is making us beginning to think otherwise. I need help in that direction, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. It's a good question. But to start with, let us start by saying that whatever we know how to do, we started by saying that there's what we call fixed mindset and growth mindset. Fixed mindset and growth mindset. When you have a growth mindset, you believe that through learning, through education, you can get some things going. That the situation can change with time. and hope can be developed. Nothing says that because you are used to printing, you cannot do some other things. No, nothing like that. If you think like that, then you are in the fixed mindset arena. You need to call the growth mindset and look at what other things can you do. Examine, we start by saying, examine yourself. Examine yourself. What do you have? What are your skills? There is probably that you have so many other skills and relationships that can do other things other than printing. And so don't close your mind to the fact that this is what we know how to do for many years, what we have been doing. Now that we cannot do so, no, that's not it. You can do other things too, just to think wide and think widely and look at the various items we mentioned, the challenges that are around us in this COVID-19, and see how your skill and your personality and your knowledge and your passion can solve other problems. Number two, is it possible also to think of looking for printing jobs that are pandemic compliant? Maybe posters about pandemic, because really, I see some posters about the pandemic. All those wash your hand, do this, do that. Is it possible to think of business in that line? A business that is related to the issues, that even the printing business that may be related to the issues that we are currently going through. What does that mean? It means that they're looking for printing businesses at this time is to go to hospitals, go to pharmaceutical companies. They still need to print maybe packaging for drugs. Somebody said that vitamin C was a very high demand, so much that they have to, they ran short of it and need to produce more. And another pharmacist complained that the packaging material was what was the problem. They had the product, but they couldn't package, including labeling of that. So if I'm a printer, I'm in your shoe, beyond what I said earlier, if I'm looking for other opportunities that your skill can garner, then I will look at focusing on my target market for the printing business and look at those who are in essential services. Packaging of food material. For instance, during the COVID-19, somebody ordered for small shops, and these things were brought to the house. And you have label in these small shops. So if the demand for small shop, the demand for packaged food has increased because of COVID-19, what is the demand for the printed material, printed labels for such things also increase, for instance? I think it will. So it's just to open our eyes and don't think that there's no business. It's just that the focus will change because of the situation we have. Look at the essential services, look at the areas where we said we are going to need businesses, and then you go into those areas, try to reach out to them. I have a feeling that you have a client who is into printing of what I've just discussed, either on food material or some other packaging materials that are needed at this time. You will see be in business. It will not be as much as before. You will see remain in business. And don't forget, you can also diversify. You can be doing that and still be thinking of other skills that you have. Who says that you can also teach your printing business online? The knowledge you already have printing the business, all the years of experience I already have in printing. Maybe you can teach something online, something that is beneficial. Just thinking aloud, though.
All right, thank you, Mr. Ohimi. So I would allow Adejimo Okeyinde to talk. So Adejimo Okeyinde, you can unmute yourself and proceed to talk. Adejimo Okeyinde, if you can hear me, you can unmute yourself. You have been enabled to talk. Okay, I would skip Adejimo Okeyinde and go straight to Adekunle Onofookun again. Please unmute yourself and proceed to talk. Adekunle Onofookun. Okay. All right, so I will skip this again and I'll go to a question talking about packaging materials that you have just addressed. Someone who is into food packaging and water packaging wants to know if it is a viable business to go into at this moment.
No, go back to the question.
Jivan Naku wants to know if food packaging and water packaging business is viable at this moment.
You know, we cannot sit down and say a business is viable or not viable. To know the viability of a business, you need to do a study. You need to do a business plan. You need to look at all the parameters that are involved in that business. But we can say from here, from what has happened, that packaging in food and that will be a good business. That is viable is a different matter. You need to study to be able to prove the viability of the business. But that is a good business is sure. You know, we just said that food is essential service and will continue to be needed even now, even water. So when there's more demand for food, packaged food, for instance, that are delivered to various places, homes, and offices, of course, the demand for the packaging and the labeling will also increase. So it's a pointer that it can be a viable business, but you need to do a study, you need to do a business plan to confirm it.
Okay. In addition to what you have said, Mr. Ogumi, I would like to encourage Jivan to email us or send, just get in touch with us through any of our channels. Our email address is info@consulting.limited, so we can take this to the next step and discuss further on the subject of starting a business or on food packaging and water packaging. Okay, so there is another question from an anonymous attendee. What business would you advise a banker that was laid off to go into? Oh,
interesting.
very interesting one. Very interesting one.
Well, if the person has followed our presentation, the person will go to, hopefully we'll send the slide to them. He should examine himself. You know, we'll start with a self-examination slide that will show you are a banker, yes, but you probably have passion for other things. You probably have skills and in other things. Why don't you look at all that you have a passion for? I know a banker who went into importing drugs because while he was in the bank, he was servicing various pharmaceutical companies. And so that gave him some idea, some knowledge about that business. So he came out and did a business plan and was into it. So a banker also has opportunity of having understanding of some transaction, some business that he related with while he was working. They could be the first port of call in terms of organizing a business plan to see whether those businesses will be viable. You may not be able to set up a bank on your own because of what is involved, but there are other skills, other knowledge that you have, other passion that you have, even the experience you have from the bank that you can leverage on to set up a business that will address issues that have become problems because of the pandemic. Are there still more questions or we'll be rounding up now?
I think there is one question. One, Adejumo Kehinde, kindly unmute yourself. If you are interested in asking a question, the hand is raised. Kindly unmute yourself and go ahead to ask your question. Okay. I'll just, okay. I would conclude. There is no other question or contribution regarding the subject. Okay, so.
I'll make the final remark. No more questions. Okay. Now, let us, the take home for me, as I conclude, you find out, you know, a lot of businesses will lose relevance and need to transit to other businesses now, no doubt about that. Like the printing and some other, maybe the entertainment business and all that. They need to transit to other kind of businesses, like the pharmaceutical business, hospital equipment, the food business, the IT. They need to be looking at things like that. And then a potential entrepreneur needs to realize which category he or she falls into. Which of these categories is he or she comfortable with? Though for the business that are likely to have customers now, the question to ask is, what new problem can they solve, given their expertise, given what they already do, what they already know, or what they already have? What new problems can they solve with it? And when they do that, then they can find out a business that is suitable for them, that is profitable. But of course, it's to follow with a business plan to confirm the viability of the business. I think that's all for me. Moderator, you can round up and end the webinar.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Ogumi. In fact, this has been a very, very wonderful and quite interactive session. I am very glad that we had the chance to organize this webinar, and grateful to the attendees for attending as well. And then we are grateful to God for allowing everything to roll seamlessly. A lot of things that, like network challenges, we didn't experience as such. So I am sure that this webinar, the attendees enjoyed it and appreciate you, Mr. Ogumi, for expressing your thoughts in a very profound manner. And I am sure those who desire to start a business are greatly encouraged as a result of attending this seminar, webinar, I beg your pardon. And those who want to reorganize the business have learned the strategies and motivated to hang on despite the threats that they may be going on. Remember, we are in business to help you. I mean, Berkeley Consulting is in business to help you. Our services remain accounting, where we support SMEs to keep their financial books for proper recording of financial activities. We also indulge in tax consultancy, human resources management, training, seminars, webinars, and outsourced labor management. So if you have other challenges or there are questions you'd like to ask or think about these questions later on at the end of this webinar, you can go through our website at www.berkeleyconsulting.com, or you send us an email at info@berkeleyconsulting.com. Okay, so we'll be willing to attend to your questions and then your comments as well. So you can also check us on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram, on LinkedIn for some of our activities on social media. So if you need any of our services, you can contact us through any of this video that I have mentioned. Okay, so we have now come to the end of this webinar. Of course, we said at the beginning that this webinar would be the main session will be for about an hour thereabout, and then we'll open the floor for up to 30 minutes. We plan 30 minutes. So we'll conclude in 1 hour, 30 minutes. So I think we're about at the end, and then we're timely in a lot of considerations. So we're at the end of this webinar now, and on behalf of Berkeley Consulting Limited, I would like to offer our appreciation for being part of this webinar session. I trust that we indeed encouraged you to take certain actions that either prompt you to start a business or allow you or encourage you to sustain the existing one that you have, or reorganize the business that you have to think out of the box, to think into other areas as well. I hope that you are part of us again when next we organize our subsequent webinars, because we intend to keep this momentum going and ensure that we keep up and encourage people in business or people who desire to go into business to focus on different business areas of phenomenon in business. Also, I would like to end with this comment that as you remember to go and take off in many things that you desire to go, we would make the webinar slides that have been presented by Mr. Ogbimi available to those who have attended this webinar, and then we'll take note of all that, okay, and then we'll provide the links, because this webinar has been recorded and currently live on Facebook, so we'll provide a link when it is concluded after post-production. We'll upload it, and then we'll provide the links for people to relive this moment and experience, okay. But in whatever you do or set out to do, Berkeley Consulting as a business management company, we are here to offer that support, that solid support, and we believe that we can cover you in any of your business areas. So as we end this webinar, I say God bless you, and I wish you a very lovely afternoon. Thank you so much.